buenas. La siguiente entrevista que vais a ver a Yasuhiro Irie es una colaboración entre Misión Tokyo
y Proyecto Freak, en el que hemos hecho la entrevista a Irie Sensei, que lo conoceréis por ser el director de Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Esperamos que la disfrutéis.
So the first question is, for you, what is the most complicated or difficult thing of your job, and what do you like most? Do you feel more pressure directing or making key animation? So to answer the first question, the most difficult aspect of my job is to think for the audience what kind of things they would be will be interested, or what kind of things they feel entertained. As for what I like the most, I like since I like drawing, I enjoy drawing a lot, but also at the same time I enjoy thinking about the storyline and how the characters will act or interact with each other. So I started out as an animator, and then later I started directing. And for now, I enjoy, or I am more interested in directing. As for which I feel more pressure about, I can say that I feel different pressures for each. And for being the director, I am in charge. I'm responsible for everything, for overall. So I feel pressure about doing a good job about everything. As for being an animator, I work based on the instructions from the director. So it is I feel pressured to be able to respond, to do a good job about what's being instructed to me. Second question, could you tell us any funny story that happened during one of your projects? There was one time that I was drawing storyboard and I was listening to soundtrack of the music for the animation. However, those were not yet confirmed or fixed. Confirmed. It was not yet decided whether to really use them or not. And there is a process called dubbing in the production of anime production. Dubbing means you have to match music to a certain scene of the animation. But at the time I was not able to find the right music for the scene. But when I tried the music from the soundtrack I was listening to, that was not yet decided, it matched perfectly. It fitted just perfectly to the scene. So normally when you're storyboarding, you would not really think about the music. But it just so turned out that the music was in synchronization with the animation perfectly. So I felt that was kind of strange, but very interesting. Third question, the anime Fullmetal Alchemist received some hard reviews from fans. Later on, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood was created and was more loved by fans. You directed Brotherhood. How difficult was it to direct the anime after the bad reviews of the first version? What's your opinion of each version? First of all, let me just say this. I have no feeling of the first series being criticized or having bad reviews. So in any animation work, you get criticism and you get good reviews. So it's exactly the same case with the first Fullmetal Alchemist. It's got good reviews and bad reviews, and it's the same for Brotherhood as well. The second series that I directed, it's also got good reviews and bad reviews. It made no difference to me. It didn't affect me in any ways in the way I make it of producing the animation. To me, actually, the first series had the storyline had the characters going through really difficult and cruel situations, and that was much more cruel than the original manga that was based on. And when I was making Brotherhood, I heard from the fans of the previous first Fullmetal Alchemist saying that asking how come there is like less hardship in this new series. It's not as tragic, it's not as cruel as the first one, and they were preferring what was more like very severe situation, was like very hurting feelings, and some of them said they prefer that kind of feeling. And I think it's just a destiny. It's just a destiny for any kind of work you do. Okay, to the next question. At this moment, your main goal is the creation of Halloween pajama. Lots of people don't know that you started a crowdfunding project at Kickstarter. Would you tell us in detail what is Halloween pajama about and your current situation of Kickstarter? So Halloween pajama is a project that I started creating based on Halloween motifs, which I wanted to do for a long time. So the main character, Jakko Ran, or Ran Jakko, in her dreams she is fighting evil spirits, and she is fighting them so that they can go to heaven. So the story centers around her actions and activities, being a Halloween pajama, and also there is going to be a demon, a devil that is going to that wants to destroy or conquer the world. So she has to fight against him and defeat him. So that story is depicted in manga pages with over 360 pages, and that's a long manga, and it is just impossible to turn that into a 20-minute long anime. So what I'm going to animate in this crowdfunding project is a different episode from Halloween pajama. So for the episode I am trying to animate, you can download free of charge on the Kickstarter site. So the files are in Japanese and Italian. That's one version, and then there's another version that's an English version. So whichever you prefer, you can download and enjoy the story. So that episode is about 30 pages long, and it is sort of like on its own story. It's independent from the 360 pages long story. And you can enjoy that story without knowing the longer story. So as for the Kickstarter situation right now, we have about 30 days left, and we have about 21% already funded. And there are some events coming up, so I will be doing my best, and I will be more active at those events so that the people can support me. Yes, so for the 30-page long story, you can download, it's a free download. But for the longer story, 360 pages, that is actually offered as a reward. So if you support the Kickstarter project, you will get the right to download the manga and enjoy the longer story that way. Do you enjoy at the moment any anime or manga work in your free time? So right now there is a manga series called Hibiki, serialized in Big Comic Superior, and it's about a high school girl who wants to be a novelist. And the magazine is coming out bi-weekly, so every other week I'm looking forward to reading the new episode. As for anime, I don't have much time actually to watch much anime, but I have helped work with Fate Apocalypse. Apocrypha. Sorry. So I enjoyed watching that, and there was another series that one of my friends made, and that already ended the broadcasting, but it's called Princess Principal. Okay, the next question. Did you have time to visit any part of Barcelona? What was your first impression when you arrived at the event? Since I've arrived in Barcelona, I've just been coming to this event venue every day. So I'm just spending most of my days here. And so I haven't seen much of sightseeing of the city yet. But on Monday, I will have more time to do so. So I'm planning to go around the city and see the city more. As for the impression of the event, I see that a lot of people come here. And I also think it's a great thing that you see school kids from like elementary school, school children to older people, like maybe their grandfathers or grandmothers. They're all here, and I think it's such a great thing. Especially on the second day or the third day of the event, I saw that the little school kids were led by their school teachers to go around and see the events, and I think it's part of their education of extracurricular, outside of class kind of education, and to learn about different cultures. And I find it very, very extremely nice and great.
What is the difference between directing an opening and directing an anime series?
Okay. When you make the opening animation, what happens first is that you receive the unofficial version of the song. And based on that music, you start storyboarding. And in the meantime, the next version of the music might come in with more added vocals or more closer to the finished version of it. And then you start to make changes or corrections to what you already have on the storyboard. So in my experience, I've never had a case where there was a big change from the basic music to the finished music. It seems like the people already know, well, they of course already know that the animation should be matching with the music. So when they come up with the first version, I think they are being very careful as not to divert too differently from the finished one. So the difference between the opening and the anime series is that for opening, it's just 90 seconds. And in that 90 seconds, you have to introduce the work. You have to introduce the characters, and also you have to introduce what kind of atmosphere the work is going to have. And as for the anime series, you have to sort of like unfold the plot, and also at the same time all the feelings that go along with the storyline. So I can say that the opening is really the introduction of the story, and the animation series itself is expanding more in detail of the story. Okay. How hard was it to create the storyboard of Cowboy Bebop Tengoku no Tobira? So even though it says storyboard, it's actually something that's one step before that. It's closer to being an image board. So the director and also the producer went to location hunting overseas, and they took videos there, and they brought it back to me and gave it to me, and they told me to draw with the pencils and watercolors of the scenes from the videos that made strong impressions. Also, I drew a cityscape of New York, even though there was no video about it. So I drew shots from the city or maybe the rooftop of a building. And at the very end, finally, I saw in the movie itself a few scenes where they really used my image boards. So I feel like I did my job well. As for the character Vincent in the movie, the director wanted to have him with some kind of a power, but he was not sure what kind of power he should have. So he asked me if I had any ideas. I can say that what I suggested to the director was that the character can fly in the sky or jump really high, because I thought the image of him jumping high or flying would be very interesting. The reason why I suggested the ideas is because I thought it's something that Spike, the main character, he won't be able to chase after Vincent if he has such powers. So that's the reason why I suggested. So maybe after going through lots of meetings, they finally arrive at the conclusion of what kind of power Vincent should have. And I feel that he has really great, also fearsome powers. And I feel that in the movie, what was being reflected in the movie is such a great work. You directed Codebreaker, and some changes were done from the manga when the anime was developed. What motivated those changes in the story of the manga? Yes, in Codebreaker there are lots of very appealing, attractive characters. And for the TV series, I had this urge to have them appear earlier because if you animate truthfully to how they appear in the manga, you won't have all the characters appear within the 13 episodes. So I wanted to avoid that, and also the manga sides and also the sponsoring companies also wanted to have the characters appear as well. There was actually another idea of having like a separate timeline. One is like they are having the final battle, but in the meantime, they had other characters doing other things, and so in that way, they will appear, but they will not appear in the final battle. But having that would be little. I felt something is missing that way, so I decided to have them all come to the final battle. You directed a huge amount of anime during your career. Which anime among all your projects is your favorite? Yes, I've worked in just so many different genres, and it's all so different. So it's just impossible for me to just pick one.